Come to me, all you who labor and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and lean from me. For I am meek and humble of heart, and you will find rest for yourself. For my yoke is easy and my burden light. This is a very beautiful word that Jesus has said to all of us in the Gospel of Matthew. Come to me, all you who labor and burden, and I will give you rest. Do you actually feel burdensome in your life at times? I'm sure many of us do have this feeling, and at times we have our own share of worries and our troubles. We come to the novena every week at times, and we hear the petitions of people, different people having their struggles in different areas in life, in relationship, financial problems, in health, in seeking for special petitions for some favors for babies, so on and so forth. And we read also in the papers and in the news of a lot of problems around the world that sometimes can trouble us. We read about natural disasters, we read about wars and conflict. It's not only in other countries, sometimes even in our own place, our country and our neighbors. We read even more about the church scandal lately. It sometimes can pull us down and make us weary. And after a while, all these things can be a bit overwhelming to the point that sometimes we feel that we are in despair. We really do not know how to move on anymore. And perhaps today, the one thing that I would like to invite us to reflect on is, what do we do at this time when we feel that it is too much or we just could not handle it anymore? Recently in my ministry, I had a first-hand experience of how some people cope with this. Some time ago, me and my team, we did a retreat for the young secondary school kids. And the kids, they were all very energized and they were all very enthusiastic. They were just laughing and screaming during the camp and the retreat. And we thought that they had a good time. But very much to our surprise and shock, 1 week later, we heard that one of the leaders in the retreat, and he was very, very active during the retreat, decided to just take his life. We were all very shocked. But later on, we heard that he just couldn't cope with a new environment in school. And he was being bullied, and therefore he just decided to end it all. And quite recently also, I was involved in a parish mission. And during that time, there was a funeral. And somehow there was a lot of chatters. You hear people somehow very quietly discussing about this funeral. I wasn't too sure what it was. And later on, a parishioner came to me and shared with me that the one who died was a young guy. And like all young guys, he fell in love. He met a girl that he really liked. And he expressed his liking for this girl. But sadly, this feeling was not reciprocated. The girl didn't feel the same way towards him. And because of that, he felt that, there's no more meaning to continue living life. He was in total despair, and he just decided to end his life. Honestly, I feel very much for these youngsters. What they experience sometimes can be very, very overwhelming. And I believe, and it is in my experience, that we should never trivialize any of these experiences or any of their feeling. It is genuine. But perhaps a question that all of us have to ask ourselves is, sometimes we feel that we are also in this situation when things are overwhelming, is this really that bad? Am I really one who is facing the worst challenge in life, so much so that I should totally give up hope in life and perhaps just end it all? The sad thing is that many times we are so engrossed with ourselves and with the things that we are going through that we forget to turn our gaze towards others. Why is it so important that we need to look towards others? Because if we are willing to take that time to just look and focus on others, we might realize that we are but one among many who are also facing problems in life. And yet, at times, if we look at others, we will realize that God is present in all these difficulties and in this challenge and in these troubles. And sometimes, others who are in worse situation than us can become the face of God for us to teach us how to really face the troubles that we are experiencing. Recently, I read in the papers of this very beautiful book called Eyes Can Write. If you have a chance, do go and read this book. It is written by this person called Jonathan Bryan. Now, what's so special? Jonathan Bryan was born with a special condition. His motor functions were all out of sync, so he couldn't control his motor function, and he couldn't speak. And the teachers, whoever that was looking at him, all felt that there is no hope for him. But his mother was very, very confident that there is a way to make him speak. And through a lot of hard work and through a lot of love and through a lot of sacrifice, finally they devised a way to communicate with him through the movement of his eyes. And after that, they decided to write together, of course, the mother and the son, they decided to write a book called Eyes Can Write. Basically to tell the world that at times what we think to be the worst thing in the world can be an opportunity for us to learn, to have more faith, and to grow. And sometimes we just need to open our eyes wider, and we'll be surprised at how many of these opportunities or all these examples of people who are facing real big difficulties in their life, and yet they deal with it with a lot of faith and a lot of positivity. Famous people like Nick Vujicic, Helen Keller, Stephen Hawking tells us of all these wonderful ways of dealing with our difficulties. But also, you don't have to look too far. Just look around us. You will bound to find examples of people who are in worse situation than us, and yet they can deal with it with so much confidence and positivity. And many times, it is anchored in faith. And we come to our mother week after week to ask for her intercession and for her help. And at times we need to take a step back and to see things in a bigger picture, to realize that my trouble is not that great, and I can deal in a positive and life-giving way. Today, we are celebrating the feast of Our Lady of Sorrows. Basically, it's an invitation for us to reflect on the 7 major sorrows that come into the life of Mary. Maybe you want to Google a little bit to just get to know that a little bit more. But it is telling us that Mary in her life, she also faced a lot of difficulties. But yet, she gave us, and she becomes a good example for us on how she was very faithful in following God, in following Christ, to know that in God, I can live very beautifully and wonderfully. Jesus promised that we will never have a trouble too big that we cannot handle. We need to believe that, and we have to share that to those who need to listen to this good news. So today, let us take into our hearts the word that Jesus shared with us. Come to me, all you who labor and burden, and I will give you rest. For my yoke is easy and my burden light.